right. We are going live and it says we're live. That was
Hi,
quick.
welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as Jane Nitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 301, where we're talking about our finished objects. I think we both feel like we've got a lot of light going on. There's some snow that has accumulated since we last podcasted, and it is now snowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, when they put up those nice sheets for lighting, professional lighting, I feel like the snow is doing that.
Kind of like what Stephanie was telling us about how they set up like the whole photo shoot in her yard, and her neighbors like bring out lawn chairs. Yeah, like that professional setup, but we've got it like ring light / window coming at us, right? Yeah. So they're talking about food, as they often are over in the threads, and it's making me very hungry.
Yeah. Yep. I haven't had food yet. It's
Yes.
time to drink some coffee.
So we're saying hi to Lynn and Claire and Valerie and Laura and Pat and Silver D. Yeah, they are, and Cheryl. They're all out there chatting away about how Pat has had that daily fashion show now that she's back in the cooler temps. She traveled back home. She's wearing a new sweater a day and posting it out on Discord.
Very nice. Very
I
nice.
know. I was thinking I needed to do that. I've had some recent FOs that have only gotten flat lay treatment, but I guess I can talk about it here.
Flat lay is always suspect.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I love every single one of my recent sweaters.
Okay.
I am in love with all of my sweaters.
Just saying.
I know. Like if you go out on Ravelry and you see pages where only sweaters are laying flat on the ground, you kind of be like, what does this look like in 3D?
Yeah.
What's going on? Yes. Laura says flat lay just means that she hasn't put on makeup that day.
Very true. But as a trend, right? If you're looking at a pattern and you only see people laying it flat on their, floor.
Yeah.
Something.
Or we had a conversation this weekend, which we are totally off topic here, but in different coordinates, right, don't realize how dark it is here in the winter, right? So like I only have until like 4 o'clock-ish before it starts getting dim up here in Minnesota to go take finished object photos outdoors if I want, or even indoors if I want good, natural lighting for them. If you're down in Texas, you may have a longer day, but you don't get those cool summer months where it's like light out at 9:30 and you're trying to tell your kids to go to bed. Right. You remember those days? I vividly remember. It's still light outside, Mom. I know, but you have to go to
bed. Yeah, thankfully those are shorter and not as argument, I don't know. I had to knock on somebody's door close to midnight last night and say, hey, go to bed.
Oh, I've got you beat. Last night we fell asleep on the couch, as we are wont to do. I say we because my husband falls asleep over here and I fall asleep over there. And we woke up at 2 o'clock and went back to brush our teeth and go to bed. And Ellie was brushing her teeth. I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Deep breaths. She takes after her night owl mom.
Yeah, and I'm like going to bed and hearing stuff happening above me, and I'm like, okay, this has got to stop so that I can get my sleep.
Yep.
Because we're on different floors.
Well, it's just going to be so eye-opening when they go back to school, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, these poor kids are gonna just drag. They're going to be zombies.
They're like in college mode where they can take classes in the afternoon and stay up late and sleep in. And then they're going to have to go back to high school / middle school mode, right?
Yeah, 100%. I was also thinking about that with their breaks in between classes, like how much they get to just kind of like, I get to go off to YouTube or whatever and do whatever I want. Instead, it's like, like, I don't know.
You'll still be stuck at school. Yep.
Yeah. it won't be whatever you want. It won't be as de-stressing.
Yep.
So the whole day will just ratchet up. But
Yep.
I lived through
Anyway,
it, so can they.
in Minnestrati, we have a
Yes.
very exciting weekend. There is, yes, I will link to the Google Calendar entry that is basically, and we'll be promoting it out on Instagram as well with swipe up links. That'll have to be through me, so I'll probably post on Just Run It with a swipe up link to join the Zoom and then repost it over in StockinetteZombies. But we've got the January Chill this weekend, which is super fun. I'm looking forward to starting at noon on Friday. We're just going to have open hangout tables. There'll be multiple breakout rooms. Make sure that if you've joined a Zoom that you've got the most recent level of Zoom. So update your Zoom, because then you can self-select which table that you want to go hang out on as a breakout room. That is not an option if you kind of don't have if you don't have the most recent levels of Zoom. So
Okay.
yeah, and then Jeanette is going to join us well, she'll probably be hanging out just like the rest of us, but at 1 o'clock on Saturday, we're going to have an FO show, which will be super fun. Planning some prizes, kind of like we've had in the past with participation. So make sure that you bring something that you've finished with Sun Valley Fibers yarn. And then on Saturday or Sunday, we're going to have a chat with them, kind of a la our other interviews, and hopefully she'll bring some pretty yarn to show off.
Yeah.
And yes, super excited about that. And just to round off our Ram Jam packed January, we are the next weekend on January 31st, we're going to be chatting with Creative Cece. She's going to come kick off the February challenge and talk to us about it. So super exciting stuff coming up, as well as the Prize-a-Palooza drawings are tomorrow. So if you haven't got your entries in on Instagram, or you haven't ventured over into Discord, make sure that you're entering in both places, because there's prize pools, prizes galore. Just wanted to give people a heads up from the KAL winners last week. I had the thought process as I was packaging them up this weekend, like, what if they win one of these upcoming prizes? So those are kind of just waiting until tomorrow so that I can joint prize package.
That's a good point. I have one that's packaged and ready to go, but I haven't put any sort of monetary sticker on it yet to ship it. So that's a good point. I will wait until tomorrow.
Okay. It just, the thought was like, I'm going to drive to the post office and then set on Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, I'm going to be doing it again for these folks. So
yeah,
hopefully people weren't waited with bated breath to get those packages, but they're coming. They just might have more goodies in them if you're the randomness is in your favor yet again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Other than that, I didn't have anything else. Were you going to announce the February KAL for ZK?
Sure. We're going to have the February prompt be to knit with pink or red yarn, so of the pink and red family. So if you submit an entry that is, let's see how to do that. If you need to have started it in February or just finished it in February.
I think it's started it in 2021, finished it in February.
Okay. Thank you.
I may have a pink thing that.
Oh, she's hedging her own bets there. Oh, okay.
No. I mean, again, that's how
I
think we've done it in the past.
Red, so yeah. I mean, I'm with you.
Yep,
I have something red that would count if I finished it in February. So
I think that's easiest. I mean, other than trying to administer okay, you started this when the prompt was.
But it can't be something new that's red.
Got it. Yeah, you don't get double. The challenges are only one. So you get credit for yarn from a vendor, pattern from a designer, and challenge. You can't do 2 challenges at once.
Yeah.
That's not how the form works. So the form is self-reinforcing.
Yeah, it's a radio select.
Yes.
So yeah. And FOs, right? That's what this was about.
Well, it's also about other things that we have going on, but yes, FOs.
Okay.
Tell me about your FOs, Amy.
So starting something new. So I did Tunisian crochet washcloths. So that's the front.
What size hook did you use?
6 millimeter.
Okay, so you must be carrying forward your tightness.
It's a J. Yeah,
okay.
Probably.
Because mine looks really loosey-goosey compared to yours. Obviously, I didn't get I ran out of yarn because I tried just Tunisian simple stitch on this one. So like if you, look at them together, I didn't get to but this is that same, what did she call it?
Mock stitch.
Yeah, yep. So,
but yep, it looks good. It looks like a good washcloth. I did get 3 of them done. Just to finish out the ball and one of them's just slightly smaller. I think I cast on a few less stitches because I knew that after weighing the other 2, it wasn't gonna be enough yarn. But they're pretty close to each other. There's that. And then because
I'm still trying to figure out my gauge on that.
Yeah.
Which is why I was asking you, because I think mine was, well, I know because I've got the hook right here. Mine was with 6 millimeter. It doesn't say J or whatever on it, but mine looks like looser than yours. So,
and I did have like a bit of a practice one that was a little bit looser, and then I ripped it out and went back. So there were a few missteps in there that I just decided to rip out.
Pretty easy to do in Tunisian crochet.
Yes, very easy.
Well, crochet in general, right? Yeah.
Right. This is true. But the other thing that I have is this chevrons shawl that ended up being a cowl that was, like this is the starting point for the shawl. And then if you follow that around, I sewed the longer end to that wedge and made a cowl that's a little wider on the bottom than the top and has a kind of a tuck-in point, right? Like a V point down here. And that was out of necessity. I left it out one night and the cat had eaten enough of it on the edges. And again, this is because I had dangly bits, right? So she had grabbed one of the dangly bits and ate on into it. And since the dangly bits are where two things join, I basically had to rip out 2 stripes. So a whole mohair stripe and a whole single stripe. And then once I had ripped all those out, I was like, I'm done. So I created this cowl instead. So that is my finished object.
I'm like imagining in Lady and the Tramp where they both have the one side of the spaghetti, right? But except it's pivot and your shawl.
And the edge of the shawl, yes. Because I mean that's how I have to picture it happening. Because when I catch her, it's just her
wanted a nibble, just a little nibble, and then she just couldn't stop. It was so delicious.
Well, they can't fit, so she would have had to have actively backed away from it, right, in order to get it out of her mouth. But instead, she decided to eat until it would, break or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's what happens when you leave yarn out in my house. So. She had a delicious.
I will say again, necessity is the mother of invention. Invention, right? Yeah, you made me snort laugh this weekend with your knits in a container being locked behind glass from your kids.
Yes. Yeah, we've had like incidents where I just put it in the sink and then somebody else comes into the bathroom and the door is left open and it's like, oh yeah, the cat got in after that person and decided to have a snack. So then what do you do? So this seemed like a good solution. I had those tubs for a different purpose and now they are my wash soak tubs that I can tuck into the shower.
Yeah. And if a cat can look forlorn, I feel like in that photo she was like, "Hey, wait a minute.
I want in there. I can see it.
What? You don't want me? You aren't leaving these things out for me to eat?"
Right.
Oh, the
But yeah,
saga continues.
that's actually all that I had finished because, as Megan reminded me, I was very close to finishing my festive doodle, but I talked about that during the tips and tricks, with how I fixed and finished the collar. And I couldn't think of a single thing that I had also cast off in the month of December. So I
Yeah.
don't know what else I was working on. I thought I finished a million things, but
Yeah.
you know
So
what?
my
I probably finished those sport weight socks from Kirby Werby.
Mhm.
So those are bright. You can see them in that picture of the cat forlornly looking because it's a bright pop
Yep,
in the
yep.
mix.
I finished mine as well. So
Oh, there you go.
mine
Pretty.
got knit into skews so we can see. Whoop.
Yeah, that was me trying to pick up my crocheting so I could crochet.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, very long striping sequence, right? You can see the orange there. It only gets duplicated clear up here, but that's 24 stripes. And they got knit into my favorite vanilla sock, which is the skew. It fits my foot well. And now I have a whole outfit where my husband got me a Rose Apothecary shirt and the Alexis necklace with my initial. And then, yeah, right now the socks are sporting the stitch marker. I don't know that I'll wear
Oh,
that on the sock, but super fun. Ew, David. I don't know if I talked about those before or not. I may have mentioned them, maybe. I feel like I've talked about them. You guys will have to keep me honest. And then I had the polygamy palooza in September or in December between finishing my mom's nesting and then all of the sleeves, right? So I feel like in November when we were talking to Cece from Cece's Wool, I had finished my pickle pullover, just the shell, and then I had put that on hold because I was waiting for some yarn because I had miscalculated. Amy had forecasted that I had miscalculated how much yardage I would need. So I finished the sleeves and now have a finished object. I really love how this Yarn Baby knit up. It's really light and drapey as the Weekender Light. If you're not familiar with Weekender Light, it's a lot of, so this is reverse stockinette, but it's knit inside out. And it just has this one line on the front and back to keep things interesting. I really enjoyed that. I alternated skeins throughout, which is another kind of thing to be doing while you're doing it. And then I alternated the new skein. It looks significantly different. I feel like the colors are very similar, but this is reverse stockinette and then the sleeves are stockinette. And so I feel like the color looks a lot different just because the stitch is really different as well. But yeah, this is, I mean, it's a little noticeable when I point it out, right? But
right. Well, and yeah, and I think I found that in the solid that I was knitting with too, right? You know, it just because of how the stitches were, it just looked different enough that you're like, oh, oh, this seems darker. I don't know why. More shadow in the bumps or something.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the bumps just do something different with the same colors, I guess, right? Which is again, it's a feature. It's a feature of the design. I absolutely love it. It's got the warmth of wool, but it's nice and lightweight. Like, so the next one I'm going to hold up here. This is DK weight, color work throughout. So it is just like this dense.
Double
Like I put it on when I'm going outside, and sometimes I don't need a coat.
Right.
Like it is super dense. It's got those lovely pockets down at the bottom that I put my cell phone in, and I feel like I'm going to maybe. Granito is definitely on my list. That's the one that you did for the Hohi KAL, right?
Yep.
because it's got pockets. But I had like this, like, why didn't I think of this moment with the pockets that I really love my sweet legs and all of my legging patterns, but all the prints, sorry, the legging prints, but they don't have pockets. So I'm not wearing them as much. And I'm like, I can solve that with the top half of my body. My knitting garments that have pockets, right? So whether it's throwing over my nesting cardigan, wearing this Sparky pullover, knitting a granito, you could easily add pockets to just about anything. These are afterthought pockets. So basically you just put in a lifeline and then end up seaming them to the back side of the sweater. And this is Feederbrook Farm. It is not a superwash. And so I got a little bit, and I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but I got a little bit of fulling. It didn't felt, but the two fibers have fused when I washed it in my magical washer that just goes whoosh, 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 and then spins the water out. And I think it may have been a property of one of the skeins that I used in the main body, because it's not like, I do have stitch definition on the sleeves. So beware, I guess. I'm a little weary now of putting things in my magical washer that does not felt them, because now apparently it can full it a little bit. But it's just, it creates a very dense fabric, and you lose some of that stitch definition. Let's see if I can hold it up. Yeah, so, but love it, love it, love it. Went super fast, was super potato chippy, even the sleeves. There's always some color work to be done. I also finished some downhill both ways socks out of my Whoville micro set, which was 50 grams of the main color and 20 grams of the contrast color. Absolutely love those colors. And I used, so I would have normally made a bigger cuff. I used absolutely all of that 20-gram mini skein to be able to do the heel, these two color sections, and the cuff. And this is a size small. So if you were doing a bigger size, you would need more than that 20-gram skein, or you could substitute and not do the heel in the contrast color, or the cuff in the contrast color for that matter. It was an experiment. I was trying to figure out how much I needed in the contrast color. You could also do a less, like a shortened two color section as well, but all of that to say. And then I, in time for our talk with Stephanie, finished up my Bright Axis. I'm absolutely in love with this. It's a bottom up. So I used a skein, the hefty 150-gram skeins of wool mice, and I lengthened it and had just enough for the cuffs there. I didn't realize that I was going to need it, and I almost was feeling like, what am I going to do? Am I going to try to unravel from the bottom, or pick a stripe that I want to be the same on both sides? But super fun, super addicting. I'm really proud of my seaming here on the shoulder. And as I mentioned when we were talking with Stephanie, this is super adaptable. If you wanted this to be a wider neck opening, you could. I made it a skinnier neck opening, because generally I enjoy less boat necky, like clear out here. I always feel like it's going to fall off. I don't know why. My broad shoulders.
A little flash dance going.
Exactly. But I am in love with this, and I wore it last week to one of like a leadership Zoom that I was on, and this is like the perfect Zoom top, because all of the drama and fun is at the part where people are going to see it throughout the Zoom, right? So like people were like, did you knit that? And I was like, because yeah, when you look at it like here, you don't really mean, I don't know. I don't ask people about their sweaters just based off of the top of them, but there was like all of the drama at the top here. And I super love it. It's the first time I've done an applied edging for the sleeve / upper portion of a top. And I have plans to make more.
Cool.
Yeah. I want all of the Zoom pretty tops.
Speaking of work and sweaters, like I haven't been able to see my team as much. We're not as much to turn on the video, but sometimes we are. And I keep wondering about my one coworker that has a mom who knits him sweaters. I'm like, oh, did he get a Christmas sweater? I want to see if he got a Christmas sweater. But we're not seeing each other in person, so.
Yeah, well, I've been talking about crafting goals, which is a good segue to my next FO. But one of mine at work is to turn the camera on. And generally people follow my lead. It's not peer pressure. It's just kind of like, oh, I can see Megan. And, with teams, it's a little easier. So that's kind of like a goal that I have for 2021 is if we're not going to be in person, I feel like I'm working with other human beings, I guess, when we all turn our videos on.
Not disembodied
at the end of the day. Yeah. Yep. Not just disembodied voices. And to be able to read people's expressions. And I mean, I know some people are a little concerned about their backdrop, right? But there's some pretty good backgrounds and teams. Anyway, all that to say, another goal that I had was that I wanted to stir my stash and once a month find something long languishing and knit it into, find a pattern or, use it or lose it, right? Like I haven't gotten to the point where I've had to lose anything yet because it's only January. So destash or giveaway or whatever, right? This is some very rustic, beautiful mustard colored yarn. It's a worsted weight that I got at Shepherd's Harvest years ago. It has to have been like 5 or 6 years ago now, which is kind of where I'm setting the bar on what older languishing stash is. And this is a 1919 sweater. I just absolutely love how the lace knit up. Like you can just, it's a very springy yarn. I'm a little concerned about washing it again because of my fulling experience with my Sparky. So it hasn't been washed yet. And my daughter has been eyeballing it. That's a really pretty color yellow, Mom. Is that for you? I'm like, it has a lot of stretch. So I could see where she thought maybe it was a little smaller. And it might be for her, but it might be. I don't know. I've been wearing it. So, and I had plenty of yarn. Again, I think the lace and the open work really stretched that yardage, right? Because the other stuff I was looking at was cables, and that just really eats yardage, right? I knew I wouldn't be able to get away with a cardigan that needed any sort of overlap. So, yep. Thank you for everybody that provided me suggestions. I loved this 1919, and it was in my queue or in my Ravelry library, and so I was like, "You're the winner." And after knitting like this fingering weight sweater and this fingering weight sweater, this one just felt like it went like zoom.
Yeah. I'm like watching your 4 sweaters parade by, and I'm like, goodness sakes. I have to remind myself that some of them were waiting. They had been waiting and only needed sleeves. And
They did. They needed sleeves.
Have you picked a February get rid of it yarn yet?
So there's 2 that are in the running. I did some stash stirring. So this is kind of getting into needle adjacent projects, but fell in love with that Entrelac and Key by Toni Lipsey that we talked to. She is just pure light and joy. And I'm like, I want to knit that. So I selected 6 skeins out of that. And while I was stirring the stash to select those 6 skeins, I found a fingering weight sweater quantity of Socks That Rock in the County Clare colorway, which is super variegated. And so I'm kind of looking like, oh, I don't know, maybe that'll be my granito. I haven't seen a lot of super variegated granitos out there. And I also pulled some red and pink Barrett Wool Company that I bought when they were going to be vending at CK how many years ago now. So yeah, those are kind of looking like my February, maybe.
Yeah, no, understood. Yeah, I don't have any of those stash type goals. So I have been looking at, since, I didn't have very many finished objects this time around, I was thinking, well, but I have been knitting on these really large projects that once they're done, they're just going to have like this big, like, ooh, relief, because they're taking 2 or 3 or 5 balls of yarn out of my stash. But yep, hoping to get on it, and but
yeah, no, it's like I said, this is like that was like a once in a lifetime moment for me, because I'm normally monogamous, right? Like I start a sweater, I finish it. I start a sweater, I finish it. It was like, what, 3, 4 sweaters in the span of a and I'm staying pretty true to that, although I do have a sock project on the needles, I do have a design project on the needles, and I do have a sweater project on the needles. And then now I'm kind of looking at, can I have something on the hook?
Yeah, crochet.
Well. Yeah, I don't know. That might cause me a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about the design one, because I knew we were talking about 3 where it'd be like, okay, I'm knitting this, I have a to-go project and a hook. But yeah, the design that adds 4.
4. Can my brain handle 4?
I don't know. I can only handle a few at a time, even though there are like lots more of them sitting around. So yeah, maybe it's just a statement of for now, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the more and less, right? Like not necessarily setting like a specific number, but maybe like have less things on the needles than I did when I was in kind of that frenetic, very anxious state. And then, adjust, be self-reflective and whatnot. So yeah, no, I feel like I am clicking things off, right? A couple of books, things were goal related for me. So the Operation Sock Drawer socks were a good book. The Bright Axis was from Telly Beans, Stephanie's book. And then that Mad Color book from Tin Can Knits. That was the 1919. So I'm doing a pretty good job of being. What?
I said I have that book. Maybe I could knit that sweater.
Yes, you do. It's a bassinet. It didn't take that much yarn. Yeah. But yeah, those are my FOs. I'm again enjoying everything that I'm working on as per usual, and feeling really inspired by everything that we've got going on out in the community. All of the fabulous daily fashion show and people joining in on the ZKKAL, as well as our Try Something New. Randy is just knocking the Try Something New out of the park. As far as her projects, I'm like, wow, everything you're doing is new. You're just like, no.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's the fun challenge, right? Give yourself a parameter and just you can fly.
Yeah. So I haven't done my double knitting yet.
Okay.
Trying to figure out whether or not that'll bend my brain too much. Like, will I start picking up my Tunisian crochet and try to start double knitting?
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's the rub. You gotta, if you're trying multiple new things and if one of them's not quite set yet.
Yeah. Well, I shared with Tony, and I had to laugh at myself. Like I got to the end of the first pass, and I needed to start the return pass on the simple Tunisian crochet, and I dropped to the one side and went, wait.
Trying to flip it.
One thing, I don't have the needle. Yeah. But
yep,
super fun. I'm enjoying all of the inspiration, the crafting inspiration out there. And looking forward to hanging out with people this weekend. It's like, it's not the same. I won't say that it's the same, but it's definitely, it fills a little bit of that hole that gap, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've been thinking about that. I was going to take the afternoon off, but then somebody suggested that we do a happy hour with my work. So I'm going to have to fit that in with my happy hour. I'm going to run Quiplash, which is something we've done with
Yeah.
ZKN, right? And so I'm excited to do that with the people I work with, and
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna be full on January chill. So yeah, I'm
Chilling.
really excited for that though. So guys, invite anybody and everybody you know, because they need to experience what we get to experience on a weekly basis with the network,
Yep,
right? Like if you're
absolutely.
in the network and you haven't tried it, or if you're not in the network and you haven't tried it yet, January chill is going to give you that taste,
Yep.
the what it can be like. And we do have, especially if you are a member, we have opportunities to meet 2 times a week. Lately, we've been opening up that hangout on the weekend a little bit more, right? So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we it's going to be fun, and I want more people to try it. I couldn't believe it. I saw my friend Sarah over the weekend,
Yeah.
just kind of in passing, give her a gift, and I could get my cotton yarn that she bought for me on a sale with a store closing in our area, and got her to sign up for Discord right then and there. So she's in our network, and
I
she can
saw
see what
her.
we're up to. Yep,
Yeah.
see what we're up to, and yeah. So now that I see her out there, I can like kind of bump her every once in a while, poke, poke, and see if she can come hang out with us.
Yeah, no, I think again, as I said, I enjoy meeting new people. So and I know that everybody is super kind and welcoming to everybody that joins us out on Discord and joins us on our open ZK and VKNs, right? So that this is just going to be an extension of that. And just looking forward to seeing our existing faces and new faces, and having an opportunity to pull some everybody into the community and have a good weekend, because I need it. I definitely need it. That this time last year was the last time that, it seems like simultaneously, like it was last month and it was 5 years ago, right? Or 10 years ago. That's my favorite.
Right.
But yeah, because I was in Madison and I was hanging out with people and we didn't know what 2020 was going to bring.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, and it's gonna be, yeah, fun to sit with familiar faces, and
Two faces.
I don't know,
Yep.
just
Yep.
connect.
All right. So am I the one that's going to have to cut us off, or
Yeah. Bye.
bye, Ufta?